are here because the outside world rejects you.
Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the information surrounding the Turtle Power 2 documentary Kickstarter. For those who don't know, back in 2014, the production company Definitive Film made the original Turtle Power documentary, which at that time covered the Turtles' history from their origins back in the 80s up to around 2014, so around the time the Michael Bay movies were coming out. Now recently, that company, Definitive Film, announced that they're going to be doing a follow-up of sorts. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Evolution, Mutation, and Reboot is the official name, although a lot of fans have been calling it Turtle Power 2. You can see over on their socials and stuff that they have been showing new footage and images from their archives, stuff that they just couldn't fit into the original Turtle Power documentary because of runtime restraints. So like when they were making the documentary, they had to keep it at a certain length, and because of this, a bunch of material that they had collected, behind the scenes stuff, rare stuff you've never seen before, got left on the cutting room floor and in their archives. They also have mentioned that they really never stopped. They kept collecting stuff, more behind the scenes material and interviews with different turtle people. And so yeah, because of this, there's a bunch of material that no one has ever seen before. And yeah, now it seems like they're putting it together for a Turtle Power 2 basically. Now recently, they have begun sharing some of these teasers to promote their Kickstarter for this documentary. They've also sent us some screenshots and things like that, so material that has never seen the light of day. And today in this video, we want to go ahead and break some of these new images and clips that they've released. Just these teasers alone are exciting to see, and some amazing content that I think you guys are going to enjoy. Now really quick, I do want to mention, as of the time of this recording, their Kickstarter for this documentary has about 2 more weeks left for fans to reserve their copy. After that, I believe the window closes, so I'll go ahead and pin a link to their Kickstarter here in this video, so it'll be the top comment down there when you scroll. Go back it if you feel like this is something you'd be interested and don't want to miss out. There's different tiers to the Kickstarter as well as add-ons. We'll briefly go over it at the end of the video just to kind of give a breakdown of that as well. But right now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these teasers and some of the main information that they've released for this project. So one of the biggest things that's come out of their campaign promoting this new documentary was this screenshot here. And yeah, the image you are seeing there is of a long lost deleted scene from the original 1990 Ninja Turtles movie. This is a scene that I don't believe the general public has ever set their eyes on. So yeah, if you remember in the original 90s movie, Casey Jones is introduced at the park when he and Raphael meet and have their scuffle.
A Jose Canseco bat? Tell me, you didn't pay money for this.
But here we see a screenshot of a scene where Casey Jones is being introduced, and it's almost exactly the same way that he was introduced in the original black and white comics from the 80s. We see Casey Jones here watching TV, flipping through the channels, hearing about all the crime that's going on in the city. We also see his hockey mask there in the foreground. It appears that he's getting ready to suit up and go fight crime, and this is all happening probably right before he runs into Raphael at the park. Now, Elias Koteas, the actor that played Casey Jones, in my opinion, is the definitive live action Casey Jones, and it's just super awesome to get to see him in one more clip as that character. Now here's another deleted scene from the original 1990 Ninja Turtles movie that we got a screenshot of. And this one is super interesting. I honestly don't know what to make of it, or where in the film it would have fit in. Maybe during the opening sequence when April is doing her monologue, but I don't know. Let's give a little bit of context before we take a look at it. So as many of you know, Ernie Reyes Jr. plays Keno in the follow-up to the first film, Secret of the Ooze. And some of you probably know that he was one of the stunt doubles for Donatello in the first original movie, so the 1990 movie. But apparently, judging off of the screenshot from this deleted scene here, we see that he was going to play a character in the first movie. Maybe this would have been part of a montage, so it probably wasn't going to be a big role. But we can see here in this screenshot that he's being chased into like an alley and ends up running into some kind of a biker gang in that alley. There's another shot here of the biker gang laid out, so I'm not sure if Ernie Reyes Jr.'s character knocks them out or if the Turtles would have helped them here and it would have just happened off camera. We don't know. All we know is that this scene was shot for the film, and I do believe it is part of one of the tiers in the Kickstarter. So yeah, this scene and that earlier Casey scene were two specific scenes that I saw in the 1990 never before seen footage that caught my eye. But let's actually go ahead and take a look at some more. So it seems that the dailies footage of the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie that these guys have is quite extensive. As I mentioned before, there was a lot of stuff that they couldn't fit into the original Turtle Powers documentary that these guys still have and have been in possession of. There's different scenes of the opening sequence to the original 1990 movie that have never been seen before. Different takes of famous famous scenes that we all know and love, and it's also cool to see the actors and crew prep and shoot these iconic scenes. I never thought we'd ever get footage like this. It's pretty incredible. The screenshots and clips that you're seeing right now is just some of the stuff that they were able to share with me. Anyway, super cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the next big piece of promo material that caught my eye.
It was a particularly silly evening. We had been working a lot on some other stuff and really in a silly mood, and I had done this sketch of a turtle. He had a mask on, he stood upright, and he had these nunchucks strapped to his arms. And I jokingly had dubbed it a ninja turtle, which is, a contradiction where a ninja being one of the fastest human beings with a turtle, He laughed, and then of course, he had to top that drawing.
So I had to do my own version, and I changed a couple things and threw in the Teenage Mutant bit.
And we laughed again, and I said, we'll call them Ninja Turtles. And Pete said, how about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And so we each kind of came up with half of the title and, worked together on the idea.
And we had a $500 income tax return, a couple $100 that Pete had saved, and I think we borrowed about $1,000 from my uncle.
We printed 3,000 copies of the first issue, and we're really scared that we'd be burning them to keep warm that winter.
We'll stop and look at each other sometime and go, oh my, what did we do? What did we create? The beast.
Turtles rule our lives now, and I'm sure they're going to rule our lives for at least the next 5 years. It's possible that, they'll become part of the culture, cultural icons. For some reason, unfathomable to humankind, the kids love the turtles. And that's great. Behind everything, that's the jewel. It's the nut of everything, that kids love the turtles.
Back in Dover, man.
So crazy. It's actually when I was coming through town, I figured I'd remember this. Oh, I remember that building, but I literally remember none of it.
I remember when the house was here, though. That was nicer.
This is where I think I laid here.
Yeah.
This was my bed, and
then you could walk through the double doors into the living room, which was our studio.
Yeah.
Mighty Mirage Studios.
So here would have been the kitchen where Shredder was created.
That's right.
That's right.
Who was originally to be known as Great Man, I believe. When I look at this yard now, I'm trying to remember how we fit all my wedding guests here. It's like
that's right. I forgot you got married.
Yeah, we're right up against that fence, actually.
That's right. Oh my God.
You were there. Janine made a big carrot cake for our wedding cake, as I recall.
He always does this. I have like about an hour and a half of tape now, and Kevin's always kind of going.
Your stuffed chair would have been about.
Yeah, I was here. You were over by that window.
Yeah.
Yeah. We wanted to take our relative skills, put them together, and then sell our artwork to anybody who wanted to hire us. And nobody ever did. It was kind of a drag, but out of it came the turtles.
Hey,
What's that, Kev?
see, we had a design.
Now that scene that you just saw right there with TMNT co-creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird is awesome. Hearing them talk about those early memories at Mirage Studios and the start of the Turtles is incredible. And from what I've heard, this conversation with the two of them actually went on a lot longer than what was just shown there, much longer. And yeah, that's a conversation I want to see more of. I love hearing these old stories of how they got started. I also believe there's a lot more home video footage of them when they were first starting out that we've never seen before. Kind of how you saw sprinkled there as they were talking. It'll be awesome to see all that old footage.
But you guys don't stand a chance.
It'll be okay. So I got a call from Terry Morris who said he put my name in the running for the sequel. And there actually wasn't a script yet. They had an idea because the meeting took place 2 weeks after the first film had opened. And the problem they had was they had a release date without a script, and the release date was in 1 year from the date that the first one opened. So could we put this movie together in 1 year? And then I went that weekend to see the original. The film turned out to be darker in tone and in look than they had imagined. There was a lot of feedback that parents were upset with the movie. I also knew nothing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And action! Come on, let's change this. Hey, maybe He's got something on a fight.
Ironically, I was really so into foreign film and imagined myself being the next Francois Truffaut and, you know, Bergman and Fellini.
What really works now, I just saw.
And theater and Arthur Miller or Tennessee Williams. I couldn't have been further from this position. But I do remember going, you know what? I can get excited by this creatively, and the true process of creativity is actually not knowing where it's going to take you anyway. I brought my sensibility to it, which is hidden inside the movie. If I turned to them and said, listen, I'm going to make a surrealist, a suggested kind of Buñuel-esque comedy of dealing with images, I think they would have gotten terrified. Now, it was always deeply rooted in me, and I'm not going to say that I was secretly keeping a secret, because we're talking about something that I've never really discussed about the connection between me and the film.
Alright, so that clip there was from a teaser that the documentary producers showed off at London Comic-Con not that long ago. You can see some behind-the-scenes footage there of Secret of the Ooze April, Paige Turco, and the Turtles. I don't believe I've ever seen that footage before. Very interesting. I would imagine that the documentary is going to have more stuff like this in it. I have heard that they have movie 2 behind-the-scenes stuff. Also, you saw there in that clip the director for Secret of the Ooze, Michael Pressman, being interviewed. It will be cool to see what good insight from that interview we get that we've never heard before. Super exciting.
Yeah, this is a single sheet of graphics duo shade board, and this is the stuff we used to use for the first series of comics that we did. And this is the size of the original sheet. And back when we started the Turtle comic, Kevin and I were very poor, and we had to make as much use out of each sheet as we possibly could. And this folder right here has the originals from issue 4 of the first series of comics, and we were able to get roughly 3 pages out of each sheet of duo shade, actually with a little bit left over that we used to like do small illustrations with. Actually, we used to have a specific piece of cardboard that we cut to make these measurements. And I will do a drawing, starting with a pencil. And I'll draw my favorite turtle, which is Donatello. I would carry a sketchbook with me all over. And I draw, I just draw. One of the great things about drawing is you start with a blank piece of paper and you end up with something. This is the magic part. I always love the way this works. Okay. It's done.
Alright, so that clip also came over from the teaser that they showed off at Comic-Con in London. Seeing Peter Laird there explain their method in those early days is really inspiring, seeing how ingenuitive and resourceful they were and how they made it happen with what they had. From what I've heard, I do believe there is more footage like this from when they visited Peter.
They got the new Playmates sign on the building. Cool beans.
Movies?
You're in the movies.
Let's see. Did you want to see Richard?
Nah, we just came in.
You just, all right. Have a seat. We'll have a party.
Good.
You need to move a little closer if you want. Before you keep facing.
Hollywood.
Alright, so what you saw there was a small clip from a much larger video that Peter Laird took on his camera of their first meeting with Playmates Toys. So the company that made the first Ninja Turtles figures, and that still do the figures today, by the way. And yeah, what it looks like is Laird set his camcorder at the end of the table and filmed the whole process. You get to see all these candid moments between Peter and Kevin that are incredible to witness. To have a glimpse at this big pivotal moment in Turtles history is kind of amazing. Anyways, that was just a small clip, and I believe that the whole meeting is like an hour and 40 minutes filled with moments like that. Now, the Kickstarter does have different tiers. We'll go over them here in a bit, but I do believe that this full meeting is included in one of the tiers, and I also would imagine that some of these moments from the meeting that people haven't seen before will be included in the documentary. So yeah, make sure to check out the different tiers and read carefully. But like I mentioned, we'll run through them here at the end. Alright, so another item included in one of their tiers is this coffee table book to go along with the documentary. From what it says here, the book will be 200 plus pages and will be packed with behind the scenes details, interviews, and commentary from the filmmakers and contributors. Alright, next up is a couple of other items. They're also part of one of the tiers on the Kickstarter, and that's these Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird figures designed by the original Ninja Turtles figure sculptor, Steve Varner. So it's the Ninja Turtles co-creators, but they're in the style of the original Playmates toys. It actually looks like there will be two different options for the figures. There is the more Playmates style ones, so kind of in the style of the old figures, and then you have these ones that are more like regular stylized ones. So yeah, as you can see there will be an option A or an option B. You can also see there that there will be a punked out commando figure. This was an early concept of a character that would have been one of the very first figures, but it never got made because they ended up going with mutant villains instead of human villains. I believe it's discussed in that Playmates meetings video that we got a peek of earlier. Anyways, yeah, these can all be done as add-ons as well. Like let's say you wanted to get one of the lower tiers but didn't want to miss out on the figures. I think that there's a way to build your own bundle there on the Kickstarter. Actually, this is a good time to go over all the tiers, add-ons, stretch goals, things like that to wrap up the video. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the different tiers first. Alright, so the first tier you see right there is called the Early Access Rough Cut Screener. And we see the description there reads, get an exclusive first look. Join a one-time live event to watch a rough cut of the documentary, then interact with the filmmakers in real time. And you can see right there that it's $15 Canadian, which you can see the breakdown right there on the side is about $12 American. But yeah, it seems like this tier is just to get an early first look at a rough cut. I don't believe you can download it or anything like that. It'll just be like a live event online. The next tier here is called Digital Screening Room. In the description on this one says access an online streaming room to view the full documentary. The screening room will be open for a limited 3-month window. So this tier is the finished documentary. And like it says there, you'll be able to stream it for that 3-month window and then boom, it's done. You can see this one's $35 Canadian or about $26 American. The next tier is called the Digital Download Edition. The description reads, own the full TMNT Evolution, Mutation, Reboot documentary as a digital download and watch it anytime you need. So yeah, this is like the last one where you get the full documentary, but you will also be able to download it. That way you have a digital copy forever. Unlike the previous tier where you only get those 3 months to stream it. This one here you can see is $60 Canadian, which is about $45 American. The next tier is called Blu-ray 4-Hour Collector's Edition. In the description reads, get the multi-disc Blu-ray set featuring TMNT Evolution, Mutation, Reboot documentary and immerse yourself in 4 hours of exclusive content. So yeah, this appears to be the physical copy of the documentary. So it looks like it will be multi-disc Blu-ray. I know nowadays a lot of people do like to have a physical copy of their media. So if you're one of those people, this one's for you. You can see this one goes for $85 Canadian, which is about $64 American. This next one's really interesting. This one's called Digital Deep Dive. In the description reads, get the documentary plus all bonus feature content. Dive into hours of behind the scenes footage, interviews, and archival material. All of it digitally downloadable. So yeah, this one goes back to digital, but it includes behind the scenes footage. That's really interesting. I would love to see what that footage is. Anyways, you can see right there, this one goes for $100 Canadian, which is about $75 American. The next tier is called the Blu-ray Documentary Collector's Edition. And this one goes back to physical, I believe. believe. You can see they say it's a must-have for serious fans. This Blu-ray set includes the full documentary, plus bonus content packed with never-before-seen archival footage. This one goes for $200 Canadian, which is about $149 American. And yeah, from here on out, the rest of the tiers do appear to be physical copies. You have this one here that's called Blu-ray plus book, read-along edition. This one includes the full Blu-ray set, plus the exclusive Your View from the Sewers coffee table book, so the book that we discussed earlier. Then it says, take a deep dive on both page and screen with hours of unseen footage and materials. This one costs $285 Canadian, which is about $212 American. The next one is called the Full Bundle, and this includes the Blu-ray set, the book, and some figures there. Let's read the description. It says the Ultimate Bundle includes the Collector's Edition Blu-ray, digital download, the Your View from the Sewers coffee table book, and the exclusive Punked Out Commando, plus the Kevin and Peter action figures, all in one amazing package. So yeah, these are the figures that we spoke of earlier, and they come in this package. You can see that this one goes for $580 Canadian, which is about $431 American. And these last three here are pretty much the previous bundle, but you get your name in the credits of the documentary. Now this first one here for $650 Canadian, so about $483 American, gets you the previous package and your name in the credits. This next one for $850 Canadian, or about $632 American, gives you an associate producer credit on top of the full bundle. And this last one for $5,000 Canadian, or about $3,700 American, gets you an executive producer credit on the documentary. Now, as we discussed earlier, they do have like this add-ons menu here that kind of gives you prices for the individual items. So let's just say you wanted to get like the digital download edition of the documentary, but also wanted the book. You'd pretty much just add those two prices together and you can bundle it up like that. Obviously, there's a bunch of different variations of how you could bundle this. That would be up to you, or you could just go with one of the tiers that suits you best. Now, one final thing that I think is worth pointing out in their Kickstarter are these stretch goals. And these are pretty much like targets that if the Kickstarter hits, they unlock certain points. So if you look at the top there, you can see that as of the time of this recording, that's how much they have raised for this project. So it's already ready to go. You can see they already hit their goal of launching the project. But to get these stretch goals, they would have to hit these numbers here, and those things would be unlocked. So you can see that they're pretty close to this one here of unlocking additional bonus content. So this would be even more exclusive behind the scenes stuff that would otherwise not be included. A couple of the stretch goals that stood out to me was this one here. So if the project hit 175,000 Canadian dollars, then anybody who gets like the bonus content tier would kind of get an upgrade with that bonus content. They'd get a Steve Barron commentary, so the director of the film, discussing the Ninja Turtles 1990 movie dailies. That's one I feel like would be super cool to see him talk about all the different takes, why they were doing certain things, why they took certain scenes out, and things of that nature would just be fascinating. And another one of the stretch goals that stood out to me was this one here, if they reach 300,000. If they reach this one, this will unlock the definitive Steve Varner mini doc. You can see the description on this one says, get ready to uncover the story of Steve Varner, the unsung hero behind the original TMNT action figures. We'll produce a mini doc that dives into how he helped shape the toy industry and TMNT fandom. Plus, we'll explore the mystery of Mark Taylor's archives, hoping to uncover new TMNT secrets that could change Turtles' history. And whether we find what we suspect is there or not, you'll be along for the investigation. But yeah, make sure you go and check out all of these different stretch goals and the tiers if this is something you're interested in. Like I mentioned earlier, I will leave a link to the Kickstarter as a pinned comment. I'll put it in the description as well. But that does it for this video, breaking down all the information that has come out on this. We'd like to thank the people over at Definitive Film again for sending over some of these never before seen images. We hope this project is a huge success. Turtle Power 1 was such a big moment for me as a Turtles fan to get back into the Turtles. At that point in my life, I had kind of drifted a little bit away from the brand. And I remember when that documentary came out, it kind of sucked me back in. And obviously it's been nonstop ever since. So yeah, huge shout out to those guys. Can't wait to see everything they have in store for us in this new documentary. Thanks everybody for watching. Remember to hit like if you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel and want more videos like this in your life. I will see you guys in a little bit with another video. Take care.
From the filmmakers who brought you Turtle Power, the definitive history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, comes the ultimate Cowabunga Kickstarter, featuring an all-new 4-hour documentary along with a coffee table read-along book, exclusive never-before-seen action figures. Back the Kickstarter today before it's too late.
The story starts on a cloudy, cold afternoon in late 2008. as three unlikely small-town Canadian filmmakers set out on a quest to capture the story behind the legendary Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a documentary film that would change their lives. Their quest would take them from places they'd never heard of, Dover, New Hampshire, and Northampton, Massachusetts, to places they could never have imagined they'd go, New York and San Diego Comic-Cons, and an empty mansion in the Hollywood Hills, and almost everywhere else in between. After 5 years of struggle, shooting, and maxing out every credit card trying to interest an entertainment industry that didn't want anything to do with us, those filmmakers, Definitive Film, sold that documentary to Paramount Pictures, but we kept shooting and shooting and shooting. Because a door had been opened that wouldn't be closed for over a decade. And behind that door was 15 years worth of collecting, collating, cataloging, editing, and assessing untold hours of interviews, archives, and more. And we just couldn't let it all sit there unwatched. But now, with the industry once again unwilling to see what we've got, we're going straight to the fans, straight to the people, the lifers and hardcores, the curious and the casual, all of you who made the TMNT a global phenomenon. Now we're going to kick open the gates, unlock the vaults, and empty the archives for a new definitive deep dive into the ongoing history of the TMNT. This campaign includes a 4-hour deep dive into the ongoing history, evolution, and mutation of the Green Machine, including the legendary TMNT origin story, this time told through a never-before-seen 2014 reunion between Eastman and Laird after 2 decades on the very spot where the Turtles were created 40 years ago now. It includes hours of bonus features digging back into Definitive's vault, archives collected over the past 15 years working with the franchise. Never-before-seen home videos from Inside Mirage, Playmates toy meetings, and on set with the live-action films, all in raw, unedited format. We're releasing a collectible read-along book to go with this project, flush with rare and little-seen images, history, and personal stories from our journey through the Turtle story, along with observations and opinion pieces from other noted voices in and around the Turtle community. And finally, exclusive retro Playmate-style action figures of not only never-before-released adaptations of early toy concepts from the very origins of the brand, but we've included Kevin and Peter as action figures, together for the very first time, sculpted in the original retro Playmate style by original TMNT sculptor Steve Varner. This will be your only opportunity to get your eyes and your hands on these history-making treasures, because they will not be sold in stores or anywhere else. All it takes to make this happen is for you to support this Kickstarter, and it will allow us to unlock the reward tiers that make up a most unique collection of Turtle offerings that will not be repeated. Thank you so much for your interest, and we hope to see you on the other side.